Alright guys, welcome to another video, and this is actually a video I've had in mind for a while now. And that is, what if Total Drama Final 2s were Final 3s? So the way how this is going to work is, I'm going to look at what if scenarios as to where the Final 3 were Final 2s. So that means Total Drama Island is going to get rid of I Triple Dog Dare You, Owen won't be eliminated in Total Drama Action, the last two episodes of Total Drama World Tour will be pushed together. The same thing that happened in Island is going to happen in Revenge of the Island. Scott doesn't get eliminated. Sugar doesn't get eliminated. And basically the Redonkus Race doesn't end with just one elimination. I'm going to add on the effect as to what if Heather, Owen, Cody, Zoe, Scott, Sugar, and of course, the Ice Dancers were added to the final challenge. So, that being said, let's begin with our first finale, that one being Total Drama Island. Alright, so we are beginning off with Total Drama Island's finale, and like I said, we get rid of I Triple Dog Dare You, and we add in Heather to the finale. So with this, I honestly feel like Heather adds a lot more to the finale than you'd expect. I mean, she still tries to sabotage Gwen and Owen, but she mainly tries to sabotage Gwen, because, let's be honest, she's going to underestimate Owen in this finale. And with that, I honestly feel like Heather would make it farther in this finale. But I honestly feel like if she was going to win, I don't think she'd get many votes from many different audiences. I mean, there's going to be people who love Heather's game and those who honestly don't think Owen is a worthy finalist. And I can agree with that, because, let's be honest, Heather and Gwen did a lot of the work this season. Owen was active in a lot of challenges, and he's one of the most legendary players to ever play the game, and iconic players, but I honestly feel like Heather and Gwen are better game players. Now, how will she win? Well, it's simple. She's going to grab onto Owen when he smells the brownies. It's going to be similar to Gwen's ending, except Heather beats Gwen. And then with Gwen's ending, I'm actually going to add in something new. Heather still grabs onto Owen and still thinks that she can outbeat Owen and Gwen, but Gwen actually rushes past her at the last minute. I honestly feel like that would be a good parallel. But who would win if Owen was going to win? Like, who'd be the runner-up? I'd still say Gwen. I still feel like Heather would get her comeuppance right here. So with that, I still feel like this changes a little bit. Like, Heather gets her comeuppance in a different way, but at the same time, she doesn't get her comeuppance if she wins. Next up, we have his Total Drama Actions finale, and before you guys say it should be Courtney, Beth, and Duncan, let me remind you that Owen got fired after Courtney was officially eliminated. So Owen is in his second Final 3 here. And considering the fact that I don't think Owen should win in this timeline, I honestly feel like this fits a lot better, since he was a finalist in the last season, and now he's a finalist again, getting another shot at the million. Or a shot at the million, because, you know, it was for $100,000 in Island. But with this, I feel like this adds on a lot more to the finale. I mean, Owen is still technically classified as a villain, since, you know, he tried to help Chris. And I feel like Beth would focus more on helping Owen find out himself. Duncan would still be a powerhouse and still try to power through this challenge, but Owen and Beth would work a little bit better together. Now, this is where it comes into a vote. To get to the vote, here's how I feel like it would go. Owen has it won in the triple tiebreaker. Chris says, "Get it, Owen. Your million is right there." But Owen actually decides to help Beth and Duncan. Let's just say that Beth is struggling to help Duncan. With that, Owen carries them into the Aftermath special, and Owen causes a tiebreaker. I mean, Owen had the win right there, and he just gave it up for a tiebreaker. With that, the stuff still remains the same, minus Owen's tofu stuff. But with that, the vote is kind of weird. because there's only a few votes that I know of, and those being Lindsay's vote for Beth, Justin's vote for Beth, Courtney's vote for Duncan, and I'm just going to say Izzy votes Owen in this timeline. But with how the votes fall, it's going to come down to one vote. Beth still remains the same, and Owen actually thanks Beth. Duncan's also remains the same, and Owen gets a little bromance moment with him. But then we get to Owen's, and Owen's is kind of bittersweet, because he actually wins. And let's just say that Owen doesn't win in Island, and doesn't become the first two-time winner. This is actually a really sweet moment for Owen, since he actually wins a season and he gets his redemption. This would be a perfect end for an Owen arc, especially with how he is at the end of action. But who would win an Island? I'd say Gwen wins an Island, and if Owen wins here, that would actually make a little bit more sense. Duncan is still, in my opinion, the better winner for the season, but if Owen was in the finale and this was a final three, I honestly feel like Owen would deserve the win after everything he's been through. I mean, losing the million the first time, causing this season, going into debt, and now this. It's kind of bittersweet, and I kind of wish that this was a final three. And next up we have is Total Drama World Tour, where we add Cody to the finale, and this one was actually kind of easy in comparison to the other two. So the other two, we take away an episode and an elimination. This one would just take away an elimination and just make the last two episodes a two-parter. Because, we don't have to get rid of an episode. One of them is a race towards Hawaii to set up the finale, and the other one is the finale. So let's see how it goes. So Alejandro still crashes into Cody's boat, but here's how it'll go. Heather is first onto the island, and when she says yes, she wins, like I said earlier, on where Gwen won Island, Chris then says that's only part one. And Heather chooses two people, and I honestly don't know who she chooses. I'm gonna guess Duncan and Gwen, maybe? Yeah, I think so. So with that, they actually end up working on making the statue that they're gonna throw in the volcano. Cody then gets their second, and Alejandro crashes in their third. They choose the partners, and that's when we get verses. Alejandro is the first one done, and he gets his luxury prize. Cody is then done because of Sierra, crazy SOB, and then Heather is done, getting the least likely one. So the way and how this changes is Heather is still the first one to trick Alejandro, and Cody actually ends up helping hold him down. But here's how I think Cody would win. So granted, Sierra is still, injured and blown to bits in this timeline. I honestly think Cody does this by himself with some help from Harold, with Harold holding down the others. And while Heather knees Alejandro in the balls, that's when Cody tries to rush them. And yes, I am kind of changing Heather's outcome as well. In Cody's ending, he actually rushes them with Heather and Alejandro being too late to stop him, and he throws it in, being declared the winner of Season 3. Now with Heather's ending, she ends up managing to stop both of the boys, and she ends up winning. And, you know what, just for a little bit of flair, she actually helps out Cody. Helps up Cody after, tripping him. This doesn't really change much of the finale. It just adds on an extra part and makes it a little bit more interesting, which, to me, I actually kind of like. And just like last season, I kind of wish it was a final three. Because, let's be honest, just like this in Island, the final three is way better than the final two. But that's just my opinion. And next up, we move on to Revenge of the Island. And this one was actually a lot more fun than you guys would think. Because instead of this being a 2 versus 1 friends versus enemy finale, this is actually a triple threat. And this actually aids in everyone's favor. Well, except for Cameron's. And we have Brain versus Brawn versus Beauty. That being Commando Zoe being added in. Not normal friendly Zoe, Commando Zoe. And with Lightning still being out for revenge against Cameron, I honestly think that this aids in the finale's, factor. I couldn't come up with the right word for it, but comes into a liable factor. So with this, we still get Iron Cameron, and we have Zoe practicing her more outdoorsy side. Lightning still becomes the brute of this. Cameron and Zoe do team up for the first half to take out Lightning for phase 1. Then we get Commando Zoe versus Iron Cameron, and then we have Commando Zoe versus Lightning. And to end off, we then have them all facing off against the creatures, with Lightning wanting to get more licks on Cam. Now, how will this fare for the endings? Well, for Zoe, I honestly feel like she gets her memories back at the near end. Before all the stuff hits Lightning. But with this, for Zoe's ending, she actually dodges the metallic barrels. So then Cameron's suit short circuits, and then Lightning falls on top of him, with Zoe covering them and gaining a happy ending with Mike. For Cameron and Lightning's ending, on the other hand, Zoe gets hit with the metallic barrel and she is out. With that, whoever ending it is falls on top of the other two, and that's the ending. Zoe ends up shaking both of their hands in a sign of respect, but for Cameron, they end up hugging it out afterwards. Either way it goes, Cameron will help out Zoe, or Zoe will help out Cameron, with her dropping her commando phase. And let's be honest, either way it goes, she's still getting together with Mike. And that's actually pretty much it. I feel like this ending would be a lot more better than Brains versus Brawn, since we have one extra element. And this comes after, and unlike the actual timeline, Lightning still has a whole bunch of anger in there. So this will add on to the gruesome factor of this finale. And then we get Total Drama All-Stars, and this helps out the finale so much. Because not only we get the tension between Mal and Zoe, but we actually get to add in Zoe's other element, and of course, Mike's other element, and that is their past demon in Scott. This actually helps out the finale a lot better than you'd think. Now, how does this help out? Well, not only there's an extra element, but we get more tension, as Scott's two partners are going to be Duncan and Courtney. Zoe's partners still remain the same in Gwen and Cameron, and same for Mal's. With this, Mike still gets his memory back, but Scott still tries to scamper his way through, with Alejandro and Heather trying to stop him. Duncan and Courtney still have arguments when Gwen resolves it before knocking out Heather. It'll be something a little dumb and cheesy, but a lot more fitting than, Duncan just going to prison. Now, time for Scott's ending. Scott's ending is actually going to go like this. With this, we will see all three of them work their way up. Scott would come up right behind Mike. And with that, with Zoe tucking down Chef, but Mike still getting hit with a meatball, Scott would then scamper in and grab the sword, being declared the winner of Season 5. Now, for Scott losing, on the other hand, he would get hit with a meatball first second he comes up the ladder, falling down. He wouldn't be chased away by Fang this time, as he would actually be pulled out of dodge, with Courtney and Duncan being added into that scenario. The finale is aided, and it isn't one of the worst things of the season, because we actually get redemption for many more characters. And, not only that, the fans are actually happy because Scott was one of the best factors of the season. So with that, this actually kind of helps the season and kind of helps the series in general. And then we move on to Pack-a-Tail Island. And the final 3 actually does make quite a few changes. I mean, it still isn't going to be as perfect as the season is, and I still say that the season peaked at Scarlet's Fever, but with this actually does make a few changes to the season. I mean, Sugar does get an add-on, and just like in Revenge of the Island of there still being beef, Sky still has beef for Sugar almost killing her in the last episode. Sean still has a little vendetta against Sugar because, she caused Jasmine's elimination. But with this, Jasmine and Dave still get picked. But for Sugar, I actually had a few in mind. I mean, I was thinking Rodney or Leonard. But in the end, I actually went with Ella for this one. Not only for the drama factor, but in the avalanche portion of the challenge, or whenever the other contestants take control, I honestly think that Ella does get a little bit of revenge here. Now, she doesn't go full evil. She doesn't become Dave or a Chris or Blanley 2.0, or even Courtney if she was on the season. She does get a little bit of revenge on Sugar, though, for how she treated her. And this is where Ella actually aids Sugar instead of hurting her. I mean, she still gets the reveal that Sugar was the cause of her elimination, and the fact that Sugar does hate her. And she gets full-on detail as to why. For the ending, I honestly think that this is where a little bit of it changes, because Dave wants Sky to fail. But for this, Ella actually does a deed and actually tries to save all three of them. Causing more snow to land on them, causing more snow to cushion their fall. And that's where we get Guy's ending and Sean's ending. And we do get a little bit of extra karma for Sugar as Ella actually helps her out, but she doesn't accept it. But for this, for Sugar's ending, Sugar actually makes it out first and actually gets help from Ella. Sugar then apologizes for how Ella was treated after Ella apologized herself. I honestly think that this would be a little bit of, redemption for her, especially with how she treated others this season. I do think that they would get a better send-off as well. Dave still gets attacked by the bear or robotic electric scuba DJ bear thing. But with this, I honestly feel like that this aids the finale a little bit better. The season is still bad, and it's still going to be my least favorite season, but this aids the season a little bit better. And then we get to Total Drama Presents the Redonkus Race, and where we just add the ice dancers to the finale. And I could do this one of two ways. I could just get rid of the final elimination period, or I could just keep the episode the same. Episode the same, it just, remains the same. But I'm actually gonna do the first option. With this, Jacques and Jose are turned upside down and try and catch the cadets. This is where they sabotage them. But just like the surfers, this is where karma comes back. Well, not karma, but this is where karma comes back to bite them, as they don't figure out which boathouse it is. Which is why they end up going on and trying to team up with the surfers, which the surfers obviously decline. MacArthur still helps out Sanders with her cast. With that, they then rush up and catch up. It is then a huge sprint to the finale, and I've actually pictured this in my mind for my own way. Trust me, I'll get to my own dream final 2 finales soon. Don't worry. But with this, it is a race to the finish. With this, we actually get a little bit of sportsmanship from the ice dancers to the cadets. Their outro remains the same from when they actually got third as well. But now here's the interesting thing, and that's when they win. Jose is the one to get to the carpet first. Wait. No, Jacques is the one to get to the carpet just before the cadets. I honestly feel like Jacques getting there instead of Jose would actually be a little bit more sentimental. With that, their outro would be on how they knew that they were going to win. Jacques and Jose do reflect on how they were a little bit more unsportsmanlike. And that does lead to a little bit more sportsmanship being shown by all 3 of the teams. And that's actually how it would end. It would kind of be a bittersweet victory for the ice dancers, as they do end up finally getting the first place that they deserve. But they did it in a way that made them reflect and hate it. But for them losing and getting second or third, or runner-up tying, it actually makes a little bit more sense that they would get a little bit more sportsmanship from two teams that they have screwed over. And it'd make them become better people, which is actually kind of good, showing off that any evil contestant can become good. And it'd be the same thing with Heather to World Tour and kind of Gwen, I guess. But that's actually how the season would end. And that'll do it for this quick what if video. I had this idea in mind for a while now, and it was actually a lot of fun to make. If you guys have any more ideas, post them in the comments and I'll try and do them. Now, a video I've been working on for a while now is going to be done real soon, and then I'll try and get back on schedule. But with how wrestling's going to go, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you guys for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.